Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, today we're going to talk about deck toys. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with it. It's one of my favorite go-tos for gamifying this classroom or lessons. I also really like it because it can differentiate instruction. You can create different pathways for students to have fun. And the website is deck.toys. You can add that into any URL. I'm just going to slide my screen over just a little bit so the Zoom controls are not going to mess up what I can see and hopefully what you can see. If there's any time you can't see my screen, please throw it in the chat. If you have questions or comments, please put those in the chat as well. If you have not signed up for Deck Toys, you can click on Teacher Sign Up and sign in with Google is what I would recommend. If you are already a teacher, I've already helped you maybe, the login button is there, or it's down at the bottom, says login. Right now, students cannot join an account. They have to just join the teacher's classroom. So I'm gonna go ahead and get signed in. I'm gonna sign with Google, click on my name, and get logged in. This will bring me to my dashboard, my teacher dashboard. And right now, thanks to COVID-19, everyone at Nebo should have the Pro Edition, which will allow you a lot of different things. We can kind of cover that in a bit. One of those would be to create a classroom. That's the black button on the side. You can create up to 10 different classrooms. On the Pro version, the free version, you get 2. I would just rename them something with, that's super easy, like create a classroom, put your name or something in there. I would not put the year like I would for Google Classroom. That would change every time. This is something that's be more permanent. So I just use my last name and like math or science. I haven't done social studies yet. So let's take a look at that. I could put in here social studies and hit OK, and it will create a new class. Thank you very much. One thing to note when you are getting started with Deck Toys, it might, when you first log in, that dashboard says, hey, you must create your first deck, kind of a little trial deck. Just click on something just to get that to go away. Not a big deal. I also showed in my tutorials, you have folders that you can pull up so that you can stay organized. I created mine by grade level so I can kind of figure out who I'm helping and kind of organize them that way. If I was just teaching 5th grade, for example, then I would create maybe a math and reading folder or something going under there. As you see at the bottom, I can create math and reading folders. So how do you create a folder is right click, and there's a create button under the root folder. Let's say I was doing social studies. Great, I can just create that folder. Yes, you can click on the folder and I can drag them. So if I was teaching 5th grade, say let's put it under the 5th grade. So now when I click on 5th grade, there's my reading. I can store my math in there as well, dump social studies. So you can kind of see it's pretty easy. Oops, let's get that, there we go. So under 5th grade now I can kind of organize my decks that way. Even inside of math, I can input like, hey, let's put one for fractions. So I could really kind of narrow that down as I'm building decks. So that's just creating classrooms, creating folders, pretty, getting started. And these are all, I'm going to mention this now, I'll mention it at the end. I created a YouTube playlist with 8 different videos. So it's like, hey, how do I do that? Go back to this playlist, which I've also, I'll show you that thing. There are 8 different videos here, starting from just how do you get started, like I just did, logging in, to creating folders and classes, how do you create your deck, how searching the deck gallery, creating your own study sets, all those kind of things are right here for you. And those are also posted on our Nebo at Home Learning website. If you were to go to the, let's take a look at the published site, sorry. Here we go. If you're clicking on underneath elementary and Zoom webinars, then you scroll down and you will see towards the bottom, because our most recent one's at the bottom. There it is, Deck Toys. Here it is, video tutorials on YouTube. I have already linked that YouTube playlist there for you. Great. Let's go back. So one thing you want to do when you open up Deck Toys, if you just get started, again, create a classroom. That's where we're going to enter all these decks or lessons, as they can call them. Decks, I can add them into classrooms. So if I have a deck that I want to add into a classroom, I find the deck that I want, I can use the little pull down arrow and I can assign it to a classroom. How do I do that? Just click on the classroom I want to assign it to, and there we go, done. So when I look at it, say there's assigned to the science classroom, here it is in the science classroom, that deck is now there. Check, but let's go through and find something. So before we created our own deck, here's our deck gallery. And you'll notice that there are a lot of different ways that you can search for different decks or lessons again. Right now it's by the most popular ones this month. You'll see up here at the top. If I want to go through and search for something, let's say I want to search for fractions. And there we go. If I want to narrow this down, I can go over, right now I'm at 258 decks. May I want to click on math. May I want this for grades 3 through 5 in English. And now I'm down to 145 decks. So when you see a deck, you're going to see there's a title, get a little like a thumbnail of it. You'll see who the person, the author is of the deck, and you'll have a quick description underneath it. So if I want to take a look, let's not look at one of mine. Here we go. Let's take a look at Amanda Williams, for example. If I wanted to preview this deck, there's a preview button, but there's also a poster view. So I'm going to click on poster view. And let's see if I like this deck. It's going to pop up. There we go. And I'm going to make this full screen. And it's kind of really, really small, but if I were to double click on the map, it zooms in for me. If you have a mouse, I can use my mouse wheel to zoom in. But this will kind of show me, here's the entry point, begin your mission. Here is an activity. And if I were to zoom in a bit more, it would kind of show me what the questions are in that deck. In that little study set, here is another activity. There's a link probably to a video, is my assumption on there. And you can see that there is a question for the students to answer. The little rocket ship means there's a little app inside there. The students will probably answer a question or something. And you'll notice as I go across, same thing, there are little activities with just a Google link meet. Yeah, so it's probably just for something in their Google Drive. Again, I would assume it's probably a video. So what it looks like, the teacher, they have a little welcome, and you can see they already created multiple pathways, these little dots. So if students, hey, I need to go back and have a refresher on mixed numbers, they could click and watch a video and then move to the activity. Or if they already know the activity, or they already know mixed numbers really well, improper fractions, they can skip the video and move right into the activity. If they stumble, they can go back and have that immediate help right there for them in that activity. So as teachers are creating, Screencastify using Loom, another web casting and screencasting software, they could add those videos right into Deck Toys. And you can kind of see they're going to move around. I'm going to come over. I could look at what other questions that she has and see, hey, do these match up with what I'm doing in my classroom? Will my students be successful with them? There it is. So this is kind of that. I'm just going to scroll around. One thing I also like that this teacher did, this is pretty sweet. So as they're following this pathway, when they get almost there, and the teacher says, hey, you can complete the challenge question for extra points, or they can go straight to the very, very end. Says choose wisely. So they can have an option at the end of going to a challenge question, or they can go and skip to the end. Here is a challenge question. If I to zoom in a bit more, it looks like it is a word problem for them to do. And the next one is the final activity. Ooh, here's one thing I didn't mention. Here it says match. This tells me this is a matching game, a matching activity that students will need to do. And it kind of goes through, I can kind of preview this deck. That's the poster view. I'm going to jump out of that full screen mode since we don't need that anymore. Good, I'm going to close it up. One thing, if I say, yeah, I really like this deck, I'm going to use it. There's a little heart feature, a like. I can click on that, turn it red, and that will store it for me. When I go to the deck gallery, there is a my favorites. So I'm going to click on my favorites. I can see, yep, there it is. I just favorited that one. I can go through and preview the deck as a student and play it and kind of see how does it play. If I want to assign it to my classroom, again, I can click the little pull down arrow and I can assign it to the classroom. Or again, I can preview as a demo student. I can share with other teachers, make my own copy, say, ooh, it's really good, but there's a few questions or a couple of sets I didn't like. I want to make my own copy and change it up. That's fine too. If you do make a copy, somewhere along the way, give some credit back to the original owner would be nice. One of the options I really liked, and I added to Deck Toys, my comments was, hey, I want to see more decks by this author. So if I find out, hey, Amanda Williams, she has some really good stuff, I can just click on her name, or under the pull down arrow and it says view decks by this author, I can click on that and see what else has she created that might be really good for my students, right? And you find out, hey, she's the same grade level as me. Maybe she has some other cool decks I could use and say, yeah, that's really good. I can put some hearts on those, or I could assign it to my classroom or make my own copy and tweak it. Okay, so that is the deck gallery. Cool. And if there's questions, thank you for the digital coaches that are going through and answering questions. If there's something that's not being answered, please give me a holler. All right, I'm gonna come back to, that's the deck gallery. Check it out. There's probably some decks that you can probably use today, tomorrow, with your lessons. Good stuff, right? This is a fairly new tool in the last couple of years. So things are getting built out by teachers when they join and going through and building a deck. And that's my main goal for today, is to show you how you can build your own deck. Again, there are tutorials on the YouTube playlist, but I just want to take a quick chance and say, let's build one right now. So I'm gonna go to my—
Charles?
Yeah.
One of the teachers has mentioned that the root folder hasn't shown up for them. Is there a way to make that appear if it's not there, or is that something that we need to help that specific teacher with?
If it's not there, maybe the first thing is maybe have they created a lesson. If they haven't created a deck or a lesson, that might be why
Okay.
it's not there. So great question.
Okay, thanks.
So let's just try it. Let's create our first lesson here. And I chose kindergarten because I was looking on our Nebo digital coach page. I'll probably should link this one too. If I just type in Nebo EdTech into my browser, usually that's the first one that pops up, technology curriculum. And if I were to come down to the Teaching with Tech page, there's a gamification page. And I'll link this over to our at-home learning page at the end, or maybe Miles can do that or someone else. Here's our gamification page. And if I were to scroll down, here's a quick little sample of what a unit could look like a full unit. There's a lot of decks on there. But it says try out these decks. And I have one in kindergarten, a few in first grade, a bunch in second. You kind of see these are ones either I've made or other digital coaches or Nebo teachers that we really like. So these are some ones you can kind of just play with to get going and try out with your classes. Or I know I've used these in actual Nebo classes, so they're good. They're tried and true. They're really good stuff. Right, let's go back to how do you create your own lesson? That's one of the things I always want to make sure I keep it real with teachers. Like, how long will this take me to make? Is it worth it, for students? And so let's go through and check it out. So I'm going to come up to the teal plus button that says create a new deck. And I saw an email from one of our math specialists this morning about what does kindergarten cover, addition, subtraction, and adding tens, and breaking down tens up to 20 into tens and ones. So I'm going to do one called tens and ones. I called a kindergarten teacher this morning and said, hey, would this be helpful for you if I build this deck and you be able to use it? She goes, yeah, you bet. That'd be great. So when I open it up, it's going to bring up my deck builder. And the first thing I'm going to do, you can kind of see my little layout. I'm going to come over to my study sets, right? Add my content in first. So I'm going to click and add a new study set. And there's different options for me to do. Like you can import from Quizlet. I can steal from other study sets. From Deck Toys, import from an Excel sheet. These are great things. Again, those are in the tutorial of like how to import from Quizlet. But I'm going to do something more basic. So I'm going to do a blank study set today and hit create. And get, what does that look like? First, I'm going to give it a name. I can maybe call it like tens and ones, something like that. I can come over and put a term in here. So if I was breaking this into maybe a 10 plus 1, if I move over, I can add a definition in here. But one thing I like for kindergarten, especially like lower grades, is adding an image. So I want to add an image in here. So I went to Toy Theater and I found their bear counters manipulative. And so I can start adding in some counters in here and I can build these up. There we go. Just put some color in there, and teddy bears are cute. Let's try a different color in there just for fun. There we go. And there we go. I think I put 10 plus 1. Then I'm going to use the snipping tool. I could also use anything to screenshot this, but I'm going to use the snipping tool today. Let's create a new one. And I'm just going to highlight those bears, and boom, got it. Then I'm going to use the edit button and say I'm going to copy this image. Because one of the things you can do in Deck Toys is when I click on that image, you'll notice it says Control V to paste. I'm going to press Control V, boom, and just paste it right in. Done. The other way, I could save this file and then again upload it that way. That works. Let's go through. I'm going to create a new one. And let's add a couple more in here. So let's go 2. There's a 12. Let's do like a 13. I can grab that snipping tool, say new, and snip a new set of bears for me. Come up to the edit and hit copy. And now I've got a 13, right? So I got 10 plus 3. I'm going to come over and Control V and paste it in. Great. If I have something like 10 plus 5, I'm going to click on the image. And this time I'm going to show you, I can search Pixabay for an image that I want. I can search Google, and it can bring up, say, hey, what do I got for Google? And it has that 10 plus 5 in there. I'm just going to cancel that. But those are different options to get in other images instead of trying to create your own. I'm going to upload an image, show you how that works. And I've already gone through and created some different pictures beforehand. And you probably have some of those on file, right? Stuff you've already used. So let's say I have this cool picture. There's a 10 plus 5. Let's do one more. I'm going to upload one more image. Let's do a 10 plus 7. That works. And so I can go through here and say 10 plus 7. Great. And there's the magic save button. So now I've got 3. Oops, didn't save that 10 plus. Let's get that in there. There we go, 10 plus 7. And once I hit save on this study set, I can go through and add or make changes to it, and it won't make a difference. Just a quick note, if I want to put like a word ball in here, and I were to click over, or click on the, there we go. I could add a ball in here, and it adds the word ball. I could search through and add a picture of a ball, making it pretty quick and easy. Sometimes the definition will pop up. I think I hit the tab button, and it'll automatically give you a definition. If I want to rearrange the terms around, or I want to, oop, I don't want that one in here. On the left-hand side, there's a little minus button. I can click on that and get rid of it. So there's one set. I'm going to go in through and create another set. I'll just do another blank set, hit create, and maybe I can do something slightly different. I can add in some more. This is I can call it number 2 or something. I can add in images that I've already created. Here's another 10 plus 1. And this time I'm not going to add the term in there. We can kind of see some different games that we could play with and different activities. I'm going to click on it, add an image. Here we go. Or maybe I do. Let's show you this one. Let's say a 10, or maybe I want to put it as an 11. Maybe I'll call it a 13 for students to identify these. 14. Okay, say save. Great. So I can create some different study sets on the side. Here's a nice easy way. There you go. You see the definitions kind of popping up. If I don't want those, I can just click on it and say delete, delete, delete. Don't want those in there. Here's a quick little tool, or a little way I found that copying this same study set. I'm going to add another study set, make it blank, yes. But here's a cool thing. So I wanted to add this, but maybe I don't want them with the terms. I want to leave that blank to make it a little bit harder for the students. Let's add one more in here. I have about 4 or 5 different terms and questions in there. Let's add one more in there. We'll do this 10 plus 7 again. There we go. But there is a little button up here. It says CSV format. If I click on that, I can copy what's in here, Control A to highlight everything, Control C to copy. So I'm going to copy everything that's in that study set. And then I can come down to this study set, that little same button. I'm going to paste it in. And it says key concepts. I could change the title of that. I can get rid of that later. You'll see. Validate. And now I just made an exact copy of study set number 2. I can now call this one number 3, save it. That I don't need, so I'm gonna click the little arrow. And these I'm gonna get rid of so that I know that there's no term. Study set number 3, I'm gonna call it no term, so I know that the difference between those, and get rid of that definition. Kindergarten students probably don't need that. There we go, let's get rid of that one too. 16, 17, we good? Yeah, awesome. So when I'm done with my study sets, adding my content, I'm gonna come over to the X button. And now I have this blank screen. One thing you can do to gamify is to add something fun for students. I'm gonna start with the background. And in the background, of course, you have the undo, redo buttons. There is an image picker, and I could just change it to a solid color. There we go, put something like that in the background. If I want to add a map, I can click on the map. And again, there's a Monopoly kind of a template that they have in there I could use. There's different maps, and the Pro version has more maps, pretty cool. But say I want a map, so I can add that map in here. I could use those arrows to shrink it down, make it bigger, however I want. There we go, I can pull that down, kind of fill up that space. Notice that there's a delete button. If I don't like it, I can press delete. I can duplicate. Order, as we add more pictures in here, that order might come in handy to send things forward or backwards. Set it as a background, or I could change it to make it a little more invisible or transparent. Next, I could add in shapes. I can add in tracks and different little roadmaps. Again, this is the Pro version. I can add in different pictures as well. There's some cool things. Maybe I want to add let's add a tree or something in here. Oops. Let's go back, grab that tree. There we go, grab the tree. You can add a cool tree in there, make it fun, make it different. I can add different, some deck toys ideas or some little locks and keys, make it fun. Let's add the rocket ship in here. I'm going to rotate it, maybe make it just a little bit smaller, right? Stick it up in the corner. Great. I can add in letters. I can add in full sentences or text. If I don't want to, press delete. Click on that, say no, don't want any of that. The other fun thing you need to do is just grab an image. And I was thinking, my kindergartner daughter, she loves Mario. And so I can go through anything with Nintendo stuff. I'm gonna look for a cool Mario picture. I'm gonna use this pipe, I think. So I'm gonna click on that and say, okay, shrink that down. That's gonna come in handy, I think, later. Let's go to image picker. Let's check Mario again. Let's find something cool. Again, this is just Pixabay. Cool, I want this picture right here with Mario. And there's Luigi. That's gonna be a fun thing for maybe a theme. I'm gonna make a Mario theme. Let's click off to the side. Let's get just Mario. I'm gonna shrink him down a little bit. Stick him up here at the top, maybe. Maybe I'm thinking of something like, oh, Mario and Luigi are separated. How can we get Mario to find his buddy, Luigi? There we go. So I'm gonna add these guys in here and make it into a fun game type theme, shrink him down just a little bit. So Mario's lost Luigi, how they're separated, how can we find them? I'm gonna use this tunnel, so maybe Mario's gonna go down into the tunnel and then he's gonna find Luigi. So I'm gonna click on this little pipe, I'm gonna duplicate it, so that way he can transfer over to the island, right? How can you get from one island to the next? Let's see how that looks. And when I'm done with my background, I can just hit save and exit. Cool. Now I'm back to my game board. You'll see the little dots popping up. Those are different pathways that I can take with students. But before I even get started with that, I'm gonna add some different activities. And the first thing I'll probably wanna do is add a signpost to give some instructions. I'm gonna say signpost, boom, right here. And I'm gonna click on the title and change that to start here. Make it nice and easy. And then to edit this signpost, I'm just going to double click, and I can add some instructions for my students. I'll put in here, help, Mario has lost his best buddy, Luigi. Can you help Mario get to Luigi? And I'm putting here, good luck. Nice. I can also embed a GIF or a picture in there as well, hit save. One of the things, you're like, hey, can students even read that? This is kindergarten. One of the nice features is there is an immersive reader. So on the student side, we'll see that in just a second. When we preview the deck, that we'll turn that on and it will be read to the students. So I'm going to start here, and now I'm going to go through and say, let's click a pathway maybe. I want students to come across. When they come over here, maybe they're going to go up. They can go diagonally down. There we go. They're going to get to right over here, Luigi. Get rid of that pathway. And if I need to right now, maybe I need to move my background images a little bit, I can go back and click on that and move things around as needed, like move Luigi over just a little bit so it's out of the way, and just hit save. Now I have a couple more options, my study set activities and a slide activity. So I just created some study sets on the side. I'm going to grab these. I can grab a study set and bring it in. Or I could say, oh, I want the 10s and 1s first. I'm going to click on it, drag it, and anywhere you see where that green circle that pops up is a legal space where I can drag and drop it. So let's put them right there. There we go. And it just puts in a maze. So I'm going to double click on the maze, say, let's figure that out. And you're going to see there's so many different study set activities that you can choose from. You have the word wheel, which is a guess the letter type. And it's not going to work because I don't have any letters in there. Rocket ship is a hangman-like game. The sorting is awesome. I love that one. You check out my tutorials. It has some different examples in there. Word attack, they can choose between different categories. There we go. So you'll see if it's 10s and 1s or this number 2. Not going to really work for what I'm trying to do here in this task, but we can look at that later. Word search, we don't have any words, that's not going to work here, but there's a draw and guess. This one's going to be for if students are in the same classroom together, same room, and one student will be chosen to draw a word, and everyone else has to guess what that word is from the vocabulary in those study sets. Sequencing, they can rearrange and order things. Students get a deck of cards, and they have to randomly kind of work together to solve these. There we go. Flashcards is really cool. So maybe I want to start with flashcards for this activity with my 10s and 1s. And how it works is they see 10 plus 5, they can flip it over and they can start counting 10 plus 5. Okay. And you can see down at the bottom, I'm on card number 1 of 4. My recommendation for students is to use the arrow keys. The down arrow will flip the card over, which is probably a little bit faster than moving your hands up to the little flip over button, which you can do. But again, it's probably a little faster to do it with a down arrow or up arrow. I just say be consistent, use the down arrow to flip it over and back, use the right arrow to move forward, use the left arrow to go backwards. So maybe I wanted to work something right here. Great, just a quick little flashcards, hit save. I have to do a little flashcard. I'm gonna grab that same set. Now I'm gonna give them a little quiz. Let's try something different. Ooh, lines might be nice. So when I click on it, we haven't seen that yet. Here's lines. So now students are going to click and drag the little lines over to the correct one. If they get it correct, it turns green. If they get it incorrect, let's say we match it up wrong, and it turned kind of pinkish red, and it kicked it back. So students are getting immediate feedback, something they can't do with a traditional worksheet. And there we go. Let's see if we can match them all up, right? And then students will get points for doing this as they go through. Cool. And one thing I'm going to show you right now, say, let's do this. Lines is good, but matching is pretty similar, where students will grab the match 10 plus 5 and bring it on top and drag it. I could grab the bigger one, 10 plus 7, and try and drag it on top. It's a little bit clunkier that way. I prefer for students, especially for kindergarten, grab the smaller one and drag it on top of the bigger one to match them up. Again, if they're correct, they turn green. If they are incorrect, they turn pink and they give an error message. It's probably a little bit easier than trying to grab lines for kindergartner, so I'm going to try this one. And I'm going to show you one of the advanced features right here, the advanced settings. I'm going to come down and I'm going to click on all answers must be correct to mark the activity complete and click save. So what that means is now students, when they do this matching activity, they must get them all correct. If they don't, then it's going to force them to redo that activity. So again, this is going to look at mastery-based performance here and not just guessing or winging it. Cool, so I got a matching game. I'm going to click on number 2. Maybe it's time for number 2 to come in. I can drag and drop it wherever I want. Drag it again, right there. Let's click on it. And maze. Maze is so much fun. Students love this one. How it works is you'll have little cars and different types of transportation on the side. There we go, like 13. And they're gonna have the answers on the right-hand side, those pictures. Students, let's see, 13 is the truck and 13 is the car. So when I click on the car, then they have to drag the car through the maze and get down to the truck. If they were to touch another object, another transportation, it's going to mark it pink and say, oops, it's wrong. So again, I can click on the car, let's drag it through, part way, say, ooh, how do I get there? Yes, I can go to the truck and I can bring the truck through. Oh, be careful, don't touch him. All right, don't want to get it wrong. And just kind of throws things up. They get it right, it turns green. Awesome. And again, here's that magic advanced setting. I can come down and turn on all answers must be correct to get it to move on and hit save. Let's add another one in here. Let's say number 3, no terms. I can add him in here. Let's see what we got. Maze, memory. Memory could be a fun one. Is it gonna let me? No, oh, I don't have any terms added in here, so I can't have to do something like probably no pairs, choices. I want to do maybe a picture in there. So a jigsaw might be nice. Jigsaw is when you have a picture and students can go through and add pictures in. When they get it right, it snaps them together and they have to go through and complete whatever this picture is, and kind of a fun thing to do there as well. So that might be a fun one to look at for students. You also have, I haven't talked about memory. Let's go back and change this. I can change what study set is. Let's go back to number 2 for a minute. There we go. Let's look at memory. So memory would be cards. Like I can just take them and flip them over, and students want to match them up. If not, it kind of shakes it. How about 14? Hey, you got a match. All right, it turns green. And that way, again, I'm playing a memory game. That could be fun. Let's leave it. Let's hit save. And I haven't done number 3 yet. That's okay. Let's grab number 2 again. Choices. Yes, we haven't looked at choices. And game show. Game show is like a game show, Jeopardy style, where it's a, hey, for 200 points, right? And then it would show me, all right, how many 10s and 1s? This would probably be better, again, either in class or maybe something with the teacher. Pairs is nice. How this activity works is, again, this is probably for students in class, probably wouldn't work for at-home learning, but if you're in class, then student 1 over here has 11, student 2 has the picture. They have to physically stand up, find who their buddy is, and you'll see there's a magic code, right? Car key right here says S2. So if student 1 finds student 2, student 1 would enter S2 right down here at the bottom, S2, and say, let's unlock it. Yep, they found their pair. Nice job. That could be a fun thing for, again, in class. Choices. This is a simple, like a multiple choice question. So 17, go through, they have to click on it. They click submit. Again, they get immediate feedback. Click next. 14, let's get one wrong and say submit. Say, there's the right answer. Okay, thank you, that's 14. And they can go through and do this. Again, with choices, my advanced settings would be smart to go over and say, let's make sure they have all answers correct in order to move on. Okay, one thing I didn't show you over here is the crossword. So if you have vocabulary words, crossword puzzle would be cool. We can come back and look at that in a second. But there we go. We have kind of our map. Maybe I'll put my little N sign at the end of my game. I can click on this and say, you did it, or congratulations, or something. And I can double click and say, congratulations, you helped Mario find Luigi. Nice. All right, something as easy as that. Done. Now, of course, we want to add a little more game elements into this. So let's show you a few more things. Let's say to transport from this tunnel to this tunnel, I'm going to change that just a little bit first, my background. I'm going to move that tunnel over on top. So it looks kind of cool, like they're going to go in the tunnel like in the game. There we go. Let's say I want to go over and add some more game elements to this. So to get to this memory, I'm going to put a little pull down arrow, and it gives me some more different options. I can change the color, or I can change these are the red side or something. There's brown, whatever color you want to make them. But I'm going to set an activity entry lock right here. I'm going to click on that. So maybe they have to know a magic word or a magic number to get in here. And so maybe the word is, I'll put nice. That to me be nice. I'll say save. And now you're going to see the little lock feature will be there. So now you have to think about, okay, how are students going to find this magic word nice? A couple different ways. I could add another signpost in here and put a little clue they have to read it and say, hey, don't forget to be nice. That could be good. I could come over to my maze option. I'm going to click on this. And again, in those advanced settings, one thing I didn't show before was there's a message to show at the start or a message to show when they successfully completed it. So I'm going to put over here, in quotes, like nice is the magic word to unlock the next, maybe I'll put nice is the magic word. I'll keep it simple for kindergartners. Nice is the magic word. And I'll hit save. So now that's going to give them the magic word. And as a help, if a student still can't figure it out, again, I'm going to click on this activity, go to the advanced settings, and message to show at the start. And maybe I'll put in here, do you know the magic word? If not, go back and try to the last activity, for a hint. There we go. And I can hit save. And that way, if they kind of go through, they can't get it, it'll say, hey, go back. All right, let's take a look at this and see how we're doing. So I'm going to go to preview deck. It's going to show me the teacher side. So it's going to show me the student side. So the student side, it says start here. I'm going to click on it. It's going to go through. Here's that immersive reader. I can click on it. Give it a second to load up. Here, if I want to play it, I can hit play. And maybe if you can't hear that through but it's going through and it's reading it, it's highlighting it. Awesome. Yeah, there are some little settings at the bottom there students can go through and change the voice type, the speed. Probably don't need to do that, but that was good. I can hear it. Okay, I know what I'm doing. Click close. Once I've passed off this level or this activity, it now unlocks the next one. And I can't skip ahead. It'll say, sorry, pathway's incomplete. I'm gonna come up to my flashcards. I can use my arrow buttons. Again, I can check it out. Say, yep. When a student goes all the way through, there's a little X button at the top. I can close it, and it allows them to move on. Here's my matching. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna try and get one wrong. Let's get one wrong. So you're gonna see, there we go, a couple wrong. Perfect. And I say, oops, all answers need to be correct in order to move on. It gives them feedback. I'll say retry. Right? Just like in any other game. That's what makes it fun too for students. They're like, oh, I get it wrong, no worries. That stress kind of goes away when you put it into a game-like element. Students are willing to do it again. They understand that when they meet the big boss at the end of a level and they don't pass it off, they have to try that level again. They get that in a game, right? How many times when you hand a student a worksheet and they get it wrong, and you say, hey, go back and fix this, are they very happy with you? That's a whole other topic there, but a game-like element really helps with that. So I'm gonna come over here, the maze. and I can't see very much. So I'm gonna hit the Control minus button, see if I can get that to be a little bit smaller. I'm gonna go through and play this game to get to the next part. Let's see if we can get that. I'm not sure where I'm going yet. Let's take a look. 13 is going to be, here it is, the airplane. Ooh, that was close. There we go. Bring it over, get the match. Awesome. Let's take a look at 14. If I click on it here, it will highlight the little circles around it. And I am looking for the bicycle. And this is so fun to do right in front of everyone. Let's see if I can get up there where my bicycle is. And of course, I can start one. If I wanted to, I can grab the other one and bring it over. All right, whatever's gonna help your students, great. There we go. 11 is the rocket ship is gonna go to the truck. Can I sneak this way? Can I sneak around? I think we can get through here. Nice. There we go. Matched them up, which means these last two, can we get them together? Ooh, he's gonna take the long way around. Give it a second. There we go. Complete, complete. And we have maybe a small little glitch. Yeah, ooh, fun. A fun little glitch. This would be good to let them know. But when those two should come over top and then it says, hey, you're ready to go. Probably gonna say incomplete now. Darn, okay. What's gonna happen then, right, that the students should see on the student side. Oh, one thing to note, I should back up real quick, is over here, I'm on the demo student side. The nice thing is over here, I can keep track in real time where my students are. So here, for example, it says DS, the little avatar says DS, kind of the initials of the student, usually will be those letters. I can see where my students are. On the teacher side, I'll have a list of all my students, and it'll be really easy to kind of figure out where they are. Notice that it also has points. So as I'm completing activities, even though I get it wrong, I'm still earning points. Let's try this one more time and see if we can get this to go through. I'm not sure if they're the same, but we'll try it again anyway. Oh, and the maze changed on me, didn't it? This will be fun. How fast can Charles go through the maze? There we go. 17 is down there. We got to get to the airplane. This is fun. I was hoping that he would add some different mazes, and it looks like he has. So at the beginning of Deck Toys, they weren't quite the same. There we go. 14 is going to go to the, let's bring it down. Can we get these close together? There we go. More points as I'm getting them right. You'll notice that the points are being given. Students like that. You can make it fun for students. There we go. And there it is. Nice is the magic word. Perfect. Hit OK. I can click the little X. And now I can move on to the next one. Here it is. Oops, do you know the password? Enter it in. And if I put in something wrong, nope, that's incorrect. I can use the little arrow over here. It says be back. Memory, enter the password. Nice. Nice. We'll unlock it. Great. And that should have popped up earlier. I'll look into that. And now I'm going through and I've got my different activities here for students to play with, right? Super fun. And there it is, 185 points I'm already up to. It shows me where I'm moving along. One of the other things, again, if we were in class, what this would do is I was watching, it was a second grade classroom and students were moving along. A bunch of them were kind of huddled up here. In the activities, there were a couple students in the back, like, okay, what's going on? So we found out who those students were, walked over. We were doing a 2-digit with regrouping, addition with regrouping. And so walked over and found out, hey, those students were just forgetting to regroup. And so within a couple of minutes, those students, quick one-on-one instruction, and they were able to catch back up to the students and by the end of the lesson. So it was great in real time that you can use this feedback. So on the teacher side, I would have this pulled up and watch where my students are going. All right, I'm gonna come back to Edit Deck. And if I'm done, let's say now I am ready to share this or put this in my classroom. Here we go. I'm gonna come up to the gear button. I can assign it to my classroom and say this is maybe math. There's a math one. There we go. I'll click on it and say okay. And that's now assigned to my class. I'm gonna come up to my dashboard and let's find my math. Here it is, math. and that deck is in there. If I want to remove a deck from a classroom, there's a little X right there. I can get rid of it. But the nice thing is, if I hover over top of this deck, it says View Report. Again, I can look at that report. On the free version, it'll keep the data for 7 days. The pro version, it lasts longer. I can come through on my report and see who has mastered it. A number will pop up here. I can also click the little plus button and drop it down and have a list of kids of how they did with scores. My demo student looks like it didn't record that, and that's okay. Oh, but I didn't have it added into my classroom. I can break it down by certain students, percentages correct, how many activities they completed, their percentage overall. Some good data there for you to use as the students are playing. And this is where you want to be in your classroom, your Deck Toys classroom, and watch their little avatars move from activity to activity. So you know if students are lagging behind, you can walk over right away and help them out. There we go. I'm going to close that tab. So I'm back to my main dashboard. Click on Kinder. And one thing I haven't done yet, I'm going to click on Edit Deck. So right now, you saw a little banner that says new. It was new, brand new deck. One thing I want to do now is share it with others. So the next feature says share to other teachers. Yes. This will make it public. And again, the free version, you can have 3 or 4 decks in your private library. And then when you make them public, that will remove it from your private deck and allow you to create more. So I'm going to click on Math. This is kindergarten, it's English, and now I'm going to make it public. One thing I mentioned in my tutorials on DeckToy on the YouTube channel is, yes, there is a link right here. That is not what we want to put in Seesaw or Google Classroom, for example. But yes, that is there. Why? I'll show you. If I click, let's go back. Oops, click on that. Say now it's public. Did I hit OK? I didn't hit OK. Public, gotta hit OK. There we go. Oh, I gotta put in a description in here. There we go. Kindergarten, 10s and 1s, and it's gonna make me add a few more things as 17 more characters. Just for right now, I'm just gonna put in something else just so I can fill in some characters. It's not gonna do that, so I'm gonna put in something in here. Utah, this is for younger grades. There we go. There, I put something in there. 10s and 1s, we're breaking apart. Breaking up 10s and 1s. I can add that in there. Great. But again, I don't want to use this link right here to share with students. I'm going to copy that. If I were to throw that into a new tab, it's going to come up. It's going to have this preview button. That's not going to record their data. It's not going to track it into my report. So I'm going to come back to say, yep, make it public. Great. When I go back to my dashboard, so what link do I want to give my students so they can do this activity? I'm going to come down to my Math Deck Toys classroom. Here's the link I want to give them. Right there, deck.toys, copy it. HANOSEC Math. And when I dump that into, again, another browser, right, it's going to show that deck. I'm already logged in, so let's do that in a incognito window. You can test that out. Here we go. So here's what students are going to see. There we go. And if they're upper grades, right, they can sign in with Google. They can sign in as a guest student. If you are, again, younger grades, you're not using a Chromebook, you're not using Google Classroom. Again, I just push that through Google Classroom. You can create, there's a way to create a guest user, like a username and a password for each of your kids. That's another tutorial which you can check out later. But yes, there's a way for your students to have like a little display name and a password they could log in without having to sign with Google or Microsoft or as a guest. Again, the guest students can create their own username and password and stuff that way, but probably won't be the best for them. There we go. One thing, let's go back to Kinder. Okay, questions. I think I'm just about done with it. There it is. I've created a deck. I've thrown it in. I wanted to add one more thing in here, the slide activities. This is so cool. So I'm going to add a slide activity. And so let's go through. I'm going to click on it. So what does this look like? So here it adds in things like I have a, maybe you have a PowerPoint, maybe you have a Google slideshow that you want to insert. And this is just like like that. So I have slides on the side. I can add slides, little plus button, add slides. I can delete those slides. I can duplicate them. There's also a magic button that will allow me to insert media like a Google slideshow. Again, I could do that here. I could upload pictures, so an image. So let's do that as well. I'm gonna say upload an image. And I'm gonna click on upload because I have some from my, here we go, our 10s and 1s. Let's pick 13, for example. This is kind of one more thing I'd love to do. Because that kindergarten teacher said that her students, even though she starts on day number 1 of talking about 10s and 1s, this is still a hard concept for them. So here I have a picture brought in. I could add a question at the bottom, like multiple choice question, how many 10s, right? How many 10s and how many 1s are in here? How many 10s and 1s in this picture? Something like that. I click the save button and there it is. I can add answers at the bottom. But one of the cool features that I really like are these little slide apps. And I go through more of those in detail and again, the YouTube, but to keep this in under an hour, I'm just gonna show you one that I really like is the lock feature. So I can grab that lock feature and I can add it in here. How many 10s? I could put that in here, maybe separate this into 2 different areas. How many 10s? Hit the enter button. And let's go back to, and how many 1s in this picture? Or how many 1s? Let's get rid of all that. Keep it simple for them. Great, hit save. So I have a lock feature. I'm gonna grab another lock and bring it down. How many 1s? So how many 10s? I'm gonna click on this to configure it. When you configure a lock, again, more like a breakout type activity, I can add in text, I can add in numbers, a QR code, I can do keys, and that's a really cool way of, again, gamifying your lesson. Is students can go through and earn keys. They could have to have a key to unlock an activity. There's other things in here like adding a voice, a magic phrase, or directions, like a directional lock on Breakout EDU would be awesome. With the voice, just note it only works in Chrome browsers. But let's say I want to add a number in here. I think our number was 1 for 110. Let's save it. How many 1s? I'm going to click on that. There were 3 1s. Save it. Awesome. All right, and I could create more of these slides and do the same thing. Add a picture in, add my question in, drop the locks in for the students. This would all be under one slide activity. So if I were to preview this, how's it going to look for students? Here it is. So how many 10s? Students are going to have to click on, notice they can't leave the activity because the answers are required. They have to click on it. Let's say I get it wrong, unlock it. Nope, it's wrong. So to come back, how many, again, giving students immediate feedback. Even while they're at home, right, the teacher's not there, this is a great thing for them to do either in classroom or at home. How many 1s? They have to come through, click 3, unlock that lock. Now it says this whole activity is unlocked. They can go to the next slide or activity, and when they're done, they close it, they're done. Sweet, right? Slide activities, super fun for students to do. There we are, we're just under an hour, kind of going slow and kind of talking about some of the different features as we go through. You'll notice out on the teacher side, as students complete these little slide activities, little locks, I can click on that one. It says, hey, right, that's the answer, but it also gives me data on how the students are doing. Okay, questions. Let's pause for a few minutes here, the last 5 minutes or so. What kind of questions do we have about Deck Toys? Go.
Another thing too, Charles, that you can mention is you can add in videos to those slides as well. So that's what makes it nice too. You could put a little video in there that the kids could watch and then answer questions based on the video or based on that. So that's another option with those slides.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So if I'm going to continue on with this slide activity, let's add it in here, a new slide. And you'll notice that I can embed right from, embed a video, and I can embed right from YouTube. So if we had, let's just pull up this video right here. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to bring it over into Deck Toys. Oh, there we go. I'm going to paste it in and say, okay. I can even adjust what time I want that to start at 1 second or not. What time I want that to end, so I can snip it and make it a little bit shorter if I need to. There it is, embedded that way. When students go through and they play the video, I'm gonna turn that volume off, but when they're done, it won't bring up all the extra stuff along the end as students normally do. They'll have a little bit right here, these little previews, but that's about it. And again, as Miles mentioned, you can go through and ask questions about the video here, or you can add in another slide app like a lock. I can move it up to this little side here. So maybe something like watch the video and then unlock this lock, and maybe there's a magic phrase or there's a question you want students to answer. They could go through and put that in there in that lock feature. You bet. Good. Other questions?
Making a tutorial, and this is one that's a little bit tricky. They have to watch the video and then they have to hit the next arrow to get like the end of slide activity thing to check.
Right. And so as they're going through, if they watch the video, they could answer a question here. But as we saw in the preview, is that what you're asking about? Is that tricky, Katie? Is that Katie, right?
Yeah, I just show kids that they have to hit that next button in order to get the check mark to move on.
Good, right? And that's probably one of those things that's going to be different than navigation. That little arrow off to the side right here. Students also have to learn the little X to close an activity when they're done, so they can move on to the next activity. Yep, those are just little navigation things that we'll have to do. That'd be a great screencastify for a teacher to say, hey, check this out. Here's how you navigate Deck Toys if they're at home and they're not in class with you the first time. Good point. Yep. Okay, other questions from the group? And as someone, if they're unmuted at the chat, thank you, digital coaches, for helping out in that chat. Again, we have a YouTube playlist, which will take you from just getting started, walking through the deck gallery, talking about how do you create study sets, even importing from Quizlet, so it's super easy and fast. Backgrounds, how do you change your backgrounds? Adding in study set activities. I take this one, yeah, it's a little bit longer video, but I go through and I talk about all the different features there and all the different games you can play. Same thing for the slide activities. That one's a little bit longer video, but I go through and I show you all the different apps that you can do and the fun things that it can do for your students. And then of course I talk about how do you share it with students and some of those advanced features as we go through. And all of that is back on our at-home learning site under elementary Zoom webinars. Scroll all the way down to the bottom under Deck Toys. That list of YouTube playlists will be here. I will also add in our digital coach gamification page, which has some of the decks that we've already created in there that you can try out. Grab those links, find them on Deck Toys. Remember, add them to your Deck Toys classroom. Send the link out to, go back to my dashboard, grab that link from your classroom and copy and paste that into Seesaw, Google Classroom, Canvas, and you're off and going. And I think that is it, unless there's other questions, because it's now 12.
Charles, way to go. We'll also have this video on that Zoom webinar page as well. And as well as the chat feature that we had today, the people asking questions. So that will also be there.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much.